Hey, yeah, you saw that upgraded designation right there with the tsunami advisory, and that's because earlier we were dealing with a tsunami watch, which was there was a tsunami that was potentially going to develop. And now that we've seen this wave started to develop and start to extend, we are now keeping an eye on how intense it's going to be. So yeah, it started here just off of the coast of Russia. Then we started to see that wave extend farther south and to the east. We're keeping an eye on right here for Hawaii to see what the initial reports on with this first wave that's going to be hitting in about 9 to 8 minutes to see how that's going to be impacting them. And then of course we're going to be keeping an eye on what happens there and how that could potentially mean a threat for us as we head on here into the night. So we do still have this tsunami advisory in effect. Areas here shaded in orange, that's up and down, not only just the Washington coast, but the entire west coast of the United States. And with that wave, this is a look at the potential timing of what could be happening for us. Around 11:40 around Neah Bay, closer to Westport about 11:55, closer to 12:45 tonight in Port Townsend. Tacoma could even see maybe an increase in their water levels of at about 2 o'clock later tonight. So with this advisory, it means that we do have a wave. Strong currents, possibly, maybe a large wave. It doesn't potentially mean, though, that necessarily we'll see flooding out of this. That's more when you get into a tsunami warning criteria and category. So thankfully, again, we're not in an imminent danger of seeing a tsunami yet, but we're going to continue to keep an eye on up and down here the west coast where we do have that threat of that wave coming in as we go throughout the night, and we'll keep you updated through the show.
Okay, Adam. So why are we making such a big deal of this? Well, frankly, it's because of the size of this quake. It is massive, and it's very rare to have a threat of tsunami waves here in Washington state. Earlier today, we spoke to the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network as we wait to see what this means for us here in Washington. King 5's Madeline Carter is in the newsroom tonight with those details. Madeline.
Greg, the message from the state seismologist was clear. This is a serious situation because today's earthquake, as you mentioned, it is one of the largest ever recorded.
It's probably going to be one of the 10 largest that have been recorded, since seismometers were invented more than 100 years ago. So that's the reason why the warnings are out. That's the reason why people should take them seriously. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic that this will not produce a damaging event along our coastline, but that is certainly far from guaranteed, and people should pay attention to what the information is.
We do want to stress what Harold Tobin just said. Even under an advisory, we are not expecting damage along Washington's coast, but the threat is still real. And as he said, this is one of the largest earthquakes on record. Here are the largest recorded in the past 25 years. In 2004, a 9.1 quake triggered a deadly tsunami in Indonesia. 280,000 people died in South Asia and East Africa. And then in 2010, an 8.8 magnitude earthquake in Chile killed 523 people. And then in 2011, a devastating 9.1 quake in Japan triggered a massive tsunami. I do want to put these earthquakes into perspective by comparing them to what we felt here in Washington state. The Nisqually earthquake in 2001, that was a 6.8 magnitude, and that was the most damaging quake in our history. In the newsroom, Madeline Carter, King 5 News.
Team coverage continues now with King 5's Jim Nelson over in Ocean Shores tonight. Jim, you watched as a big crowd left the beach pretty quickly.
Yeah, and Greg, as Adam talked about just a few moments ago, the big concern is strong and abnormal currents. So the beaches are now closed here in Ocean Shores. The emergency management director said they expect the impact to last up to 12, even 24 hours. Civilian volunteers, as well as the police and fire department, have been here to keep people away from the water. For context, we're a couple of 100 yards offshore. Now, they're expecting that wave here just before midnight, at least here in the Ocean Shores area. The emergency management director says that will mostly impact the maritime community, people on the water, and through that 12 to 24-hour window. The good news is that this is coming shortly after low tide. They don't expect any serious or damaging inundation, but they also acknowledge these things can change, and they won't really know what type of impact they could be dealing with until they see how this impacts other areas along the coast. While people are reminded to take this advisory serious, we have seen plenty of people out and about.
Kind of scary and exciting, just like, oh no, what's gonna happen?
It just makes it exciting, kind of,
Yes.
that we were here to experience this. Yeah.
So I mentioned that the wave here in the Ocean Shores area expected about 10 minutes before midnight. And just for people out there, we've been in communication with the officials here on the ground, and they've told us and made it very clear that if they feel we are not in a safe spot, in no uncertain terms, they'll tell us to get out of here. At this point, they feel that any real concern is pretty much confined to the water and to the immediate shore itself. But obviously, a lot of people monitoring this situation. Live in Ocean Shores, Jim Nelson, King 5 News.